He kicked me in the stomach during an argument. Not a push. Not a stumble. A full-force, rage-fueled kick right into my body, like I was some punching bag he'd had enough of. I hit the floor, stunned. Everything went silent except for the thudding in my chest. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared up at the ceiling, my mouth open, wondering how we even got here. He stood over me, breathing heavy, eyes wild. Then, just like that, he walked away. Into the kitchen. Like nothing happened. I don't know what snapped in me first, the pain or the silence. But as I got up, something changed. There was no begging, no confusion. No, why did you do that? I already knew who he was. I'd just been too blind, or maybe too hopeful, to admit it. It wasn't until later that night, after I locked myself in the bedroom, that I checked our bank account. My hands were shaking. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. Maybe proof that I wasn't crazy. Maybe something to make sense of it all. What I found? Oh, that was better than anything I expected. $1,700 every month to storage unit #4B, which would have been fine if we had a storage unit. We didn't. The next morning, I drove to the address listed on the charge. It wasn't a storage facility. It was a pretty little apartment complex downtown, the expensive kind, with those white balconies and potted plants out front. And standing on one of those balconies, a girl, younger than me, in one of his hoodies, smiling at her phone. I sat in my car for a long time, long enough to start laughing. Not even bitter laughter, just this low, empty sound I couldn't hold in. I was paying for her rent. Me. The same woman he just kicked like a trash bag. I wasn't sad anymore. Not even heartbroken. I was something else. Something colder. Sharper. He thought I was weak. That I'd cry, clean the apartment, and still cook him dinner. He didn't know me at all. So I got out of the car. I walked right up those stairs, knocked on her door, and waited. If I was paying her rent, she was going to hear it straight from me. I met him at a friend's rooftop party. He was leaning against the railing, sketching in a notebook, alone in the middle of all the noise. He had messy curls, quiet eyes, and this looked like he didn't care if anyone noticed him, which of course made everyone notice him, including me. He told me he was an artist. I do murals, album covers, tattoos, whatever pays, he said with a shrug, like struggling was part of the aesthetic. He made it sound romantic. And God help me, I believed it. He was broke, sure, but he was clever. He could talk about books he never finished and make it sound deep. He remembered things I told him in passing, what I liked in my coffee, that my parents divorced when I was 13. He made me feel seen, like I was important, and he needed me. That was the dangerous part. He'd say stuff like, "You're the only person who gets me," or, "I don't know what I'd do without you." Back then, I thought that was love. Now I know it was something else. The first time he borrowed money, it was for rent. He cried, real tears, told me he was a week away from getting paid for a commission and just needed help. I covered it. And then I covered the groceries, the electric bill, the gas for his car, which I paid to insure. He always had a reason, a setback, a plan that didn't pan out. Once my art takes off, became a phrase I heard more often than "I love you." But I stayed. I stayed when I came home from work and he was still in bed. I stayed when his art clients looked suspiciously like girls in his DM. I stayed when my friends asked why I looked so tired all the time. Part of me felt responsible for him. Like if I left, he'd fall apart. Like I owed him something for all those sad childhood stories he fed me in the beginning. The other part of me, if I'm honest, was scared no one else would love me the way he pretended to. By the end, I was more ATM than girlfriend. I paid. I managed. I fixed. And every time I brought up how unfair it felt, he'd twist it around, make me feel selfish for even asking. So yeah, the relationship was cracked long before he ever kicked me. I just didn't want to see it, until he gave me a reason I couldn't ignore. It started with a stupid question, just me asking about a charge on our joint account. "Hey," I said from the kitchen, holding my phone, "what's this storage unit #4B thing?" $1,700. He didn't even look up from the couch. "What are you talking about?" I held the screen out toward him. "This. It's been coming out monthly. Since March." He blinked, like he was seeing the numbers for the first time. "That's your charge," he said. "I told you to cancel that thing ages ago." "No, you didn't. I don't have a storage unit. You think I'd forget $1,700 a month?" He stood up. "So now you're accusing me of stealing." I blinked. "I'm asking a question. Because you're paranoid. You always twist things into some big dramatic." "I'm looking at our statements," I said, voice rising. "You think I'm imagining charges that are clearly there." He scoffed. "Jesus. This is why I don't tell you things. You act like some kind of detective over nothing." "Nothing. $1,700 a month is nothing." He got louder. You're always on my ass about money like I'm some freeloader. You think I like this? You think I want to be dependent on you? No, but you sure seem comfortable with it. That did it. His face twisted into something ugly. His voice dropped. You're lucky I don't walk out that door and leave your miserable ass behind. You wouldn't last a week without me. I don't even remember what came next. Just movement. Rage. Then pain. 1 second we were yelling. The next I was on the floor. Breath knocked out of me. Hands on the cold tile. My stomach aching. He had kicked me. Not pushed me. Kicked. Like I was a door in his way. He froze too. Like even he didn't expect himself to do it. I stared at the floor. Not crying. Not screaming. Just breathing. Somewhere inside me, something cracked clean down the middle. Not my ribs. Those were fine. But something deeper. Whatever love I'd been holding on to, whatever hope or excuse I'd been making for him, it snapped. I stood up slow. He said nothing. Didn't apologize. Just walked away like it didn't happen. And that's when I knew. This wasn't a relationship. This was war. And I'd been playing defense for too damn long. The night after he kicked me, he acted like nothing happened. Made himself a sandwich. Watched TV. Didn't even glance in my direction. That silence was louder than anything he could have said. I waited until he fell asleep on the couch, snoring like nothing was broken between us, and grabbed his laptop. I wasn't proud of it. But at that point, I wasn't interested in pride. I was interested in truth. I started with the banking app. He always left his passwords saved. Too lazy to cover his tracks. That same $1,700 payment was sitting there, like clockwork, on the first of every month, labeled as Storage Unit #4B. I clicked into the payee profile. The address attached wasn't a facility. It was an apartment complex across town. And the name listed, Emily Harper. Emily. A name I'd never heard before. Not a cousin. Not a client. Just Emily. I copied the address. Then I opened his email. Searched Emily. Hundreds of messages popped up. Most short. Some with photos. A lot of can't wait to see you and thanks for today Red Heart hash. My stomach turned. Not because he cheated. I think I already knew he was that kind of man. It was the effortlessly that shook me. The way he carried on this whole other life while I was doing his laundry and paying his damn phone bill. I screenshot everything. Messages. Bank charges. Even an e-receipt for a necklace he had delivered to her place. Funny, he never bought me jewelry. Said it was too corporate. Next stop, Instagram. I typed in her full name and found her in seconds. Private profile. But her profile pic showed enough. Long brown hair. Tiny waist. Standing in front of that exact same white-railed balcony I'd seen when I drove past the apartment. Same building. Same girl. Same betrayal. But I didn't scream. Didn't cry. I just sat there, staring at her picture. My pulse was steady. My mind quiet. He thought I wouldn't find out. That he could use me like a sponsor while playing house with someone else. He didn't know who he was messing with. I looked over at him, sprawled on the couch like a man without a care in the world. Then I looked back at her photo. Sweet little Emily. I smiled. Let's see how sweet she feels once she finds out I've been paying her rent. I waited until a weekday afternoon to go. I figured he'd be at home, still pretending to look for jobs from the comfort of our couch, and she'd probably be off work or whatever she did during the day. I parked across the street from her building and sat in the car for a minute, watching. I don't know what I expected. Maybe some wild confrontation. Maybe for her to come out swinging. But when she finally opened the door, it wasn't dramatic. It was just a girl. Younger than me. Maybe mid-20s. Wearing leggings and a big hoodie. His hoodie. Her hair was in a messy bun, and she looked like she'd just woken up from a nap. Hi, are you Emily? I asked. She blinked. Yeah. I smiled politely. I'm Jason's girlfriend. Silence. Her face went pale. She blinked again like the words hadn't quite registered. I think you and I need to have a quick talk, I said, stepping forward just enough to make her move aside. She didn't argue. She looked like someone had yanked the ground out from under her. The apartment was small but nice, definitely nicer than anything Jason could afford. Which made sense, because he didn't. I did. She sat down on the edge of the couch, hugging a pillow like it might hold her together. I didn't know, she whispered. He told me he was single. Divorced. Said his ex was crazy and stalking him. I laughed. Not loudly. Just one of those quiet, tired laughs that bubbles up when things are so ridiculous. You have no other choice. He said I was stalking him. I said, that's cute. She started crying then. Soft and quiet. No wailing, no dramatics. Just silent tears running down her cheeks as she shook her head. I didn't know, she repeated, like that might change what had happened. I believed her. She looked too stunned to be faking it. But this wasn't about sympathy. I wasn't there to bond or compare notes. I stood up. Look, I don't care what you do with him after this. Keep him, dump him, block him. I honestly don't give a shit. But I thought you should know something. She looked up. He didn't pay your rent. I did. For the last 6 months. Her mouth opened. No words came out. I turned and walked out, calm as anything. Let her sit with that. When I got back home, he was exactly where I left him, on the couch, scrolling through his phone like the world owed him peace. I walked in, dropped my keys, and smiled. You okay? He asked, barely glancing up. Yeah. Just needed some air. He nodded and went back to whatever mindless garbage he was pretending to care about. No clue. Not a single flicker of suspicion that I'd just met his mistress and turned her whole world sideways. That was the best part. I didn't explode. Didn't confront. I just started, trimming his life away, piece by piece. First was Netflix. He loved his true crime documentaries. So I logged in while he was asleep and changed the password. He tried to reset it the next day. But the account email? I'd already changed that too. It's probably just a glitch, I said sweetly when he complained. You know how tech stuff is. Then I went for his Spotify. He used my account anyway. Gone. Just disappeared one day, mid-shower, leaving him standing in the bathroom yelling, Babe, where's the music? I shrugged. Probably the Wi-Fi again. The Wi-Fi, by the way, also got mysteriously cut off a few days later. Something about the bill not being paid. Of course, I knew exactly what happened. I'd called and cancelled it. Next came the job stuff. He'd been freelancing for a couple of startup projects, translation, begging old contacts to hire him for random art gigs. I went through his laptop and found the emails. Then I sent a few messages myself. Nothing crazy, just polite follow-ups letting them know Jason won't be able to take this project after all. He's dealing with some personal issues. Professional, clean, damaging. When his phone started going quiet and the jobs dried up, he got twitchy. Kept saying things like I don't get it and I swear I had that one in the bag. I just kept smiling. Kept cleaning the kitchen. Kept playing the part. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't accusing. I was just letting him unravel himself. Piece by piece, I dismantled the version of life he thought he had. No noise. No drama. Just slow erosion. And he never saw it coming. Because in his mind, I was still that tired, forgiving girlfriend who'd never leave. In mine, I was already gone. It started 3 days after I visited Emily. He was pacing the apartment, phone pressed to his ear, face red. She's crazy, he kept saying. Emily, calm down. What are you even talking about? I stirred my tea in the kitchen, pretending not to listen. But every word was music. She's lying to you. She's jealous. She's trying to ruin us. Oh, baby. No one needed to ruin anything. He'd done that all by himself. He threw his phone on the couch and stormed into the bedroom. Slammed the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. I just sipped my tea and went back to my emails. By that night, the damage had officially gone public. Emily had posted a story, a black background, white text, classic rage format. When you find out your boyfriend is actually someone else's live-in loser and you were just the side chick he funded with her money. It didn't stop there. She tagged him, tagged his handle, posted screenshots of his messages, the sweet ones. The ones where he called her baby girl and my only real thing. One with a shirtless mirror selfie he had definitely taken in our bathroom. Then the comments started. His ex, Claire, who I always suspected he overlapped with me, jumped in. LMAO, this happened to me too. Same playbook. Same lies. Run, girl. Another girl commented. Wait, is this the same Jason who used to hang around my cousin's art show and ask for free drinks? He tried to report the post, of course. Claimed defamation. But the damage was already spreading. People were screen recording, resharing. He called Emily non-stop. She ignored him. Then she messaged his sister. Told her everything. Sent proof. Then his mom. That one was bold. He stormed into the living room, practically foaming at the mouth. She's gone nuclear, he yelled. She's blowing up my life over nothing. I said, not looking up from my laptop. Sounds stressful. He glared at me. This is serious. She's ruining my name. I smiled, just barely. Maybe she's just reacting to, I don't know, being lied to. He blinked. There was something in his face then, this flicker of suspicion. Like maybe he was starting to realize I wasn't just some innocent bystander. I went back to my screen, watching him unravel in real time. It was like front row seats to a fire I didn't even have to light. He didn't sleep that night. I could hear him pacing back and forth in the living room, muttering to himself, slamming drawers, typing furiously on his phone, probably begging Emily to take down the posts. Probably trying to convince someone, anyone, that he wasn't the piece of shit we all now knew he was. I stayed in the bedroom, door locked, watching the clock. I'd already made my plan. At 4:37 a.m., when the apartment finally went quiet, I got up. I moved fast. I'd already packed most of my stuff in the trunk of my car earlier that day while he was out trying to do damage control. I didn't bother with anything I didn't need. Just the essentials. Clothes. My documents. My laptop. I left the rest. The furniture, the TV, the dishes. All mine. But I didn't care. Let him sit in a hollow room and wonder how it all slipped through his fingers. Then I sat down at his laptop and logged into our shared account. He'd left it open. Stupid, really. There wasn't much in there. He didn't contribute. But what little was left, $3,200, I transferred out and into my personal account. Mine. Every dollar had been mine to begin with. I just corrected the ledger. I took one last look around the apartment. The kitchen where I used to cook him dinner after my 10-hour shifts. The couch he'd claimed as his throne. The bedroom where he'd told me he just needed time to get his life together. Then I opened my folder of receipts. Printed every single monthly payment made to Emily Harper's apartment. 6 sheets in total. Neat. Chronological. Clean. I placed them on the coffee table, right where he'd see them the second he woke up. Then I took out a yellow sticky note and wrote one sentence. You're welcome. I stuck it on top, perfectly scented. No explanation. No goodbye text. No final fight. I locked the door behind me on the way out and dropped the keys in the mailbox. Walked down the steps without looking back. The morning sun was just coming up. Everything smelled like dew and cheap regret. As I drove off, I imagined him waking up, groggy and confused, walking to the living room and seeing that little pile of truth waiting for him. Let him sit with it. Let him choke on it. It took him 3 days to show up. I knew he would. Men like him always circle back once they realize their little world doesn't spin without you keeping it upright. I was staying at my friend Tasha's place. She offered the couch, wine, and zero judgment. I was halfway through folding laundry when the buzzer rang. She peeked out the window. Girl, it's him. Of course it was. I opened the door just enough to step out onto the porch and crossed my arms. He looked awful. Puffy eyes, greasy hair, like he hadn't slept or showered. He had this look on his face like a lost puppy who'd been kicked. Can we talk? He asked, voice cracking like he practiced sounding broken. I said nothing. He ran a hand through his hair and started pacing. I messed up. I know that. I wasn't myself. I've been dealing with a lot. My mental health's been spiraling, and the Emily thing. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I raised an eyebrow. He kept going. I didn't even like her. Not really. It was a mistake. I was going through some stuff. My dad never showed me what a real relationship looked like, and I think I sabotage things because deep down I feel unworthy. I held up a hand. You done? He blinked. I just want to fix this. I'm in therapy now. I've been journaling. I looked him straight in the eye. You kicked me. His mouth opened, then closed. No words. You used me. Lied to me. Lived off me. And then you kicked me. There's nothing to fix. He stepped closer. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was angry. You kept pushing. And there it is, I said. Back to blaming me. No, I didn't mean. I stepped back. You didn't mean for me to find out you were cheating. You didn't mean for Emily to turn on you. You didn't mean for your reputation to burn down. But you meant every selfish, cowardly thing you did while I kept you fed, housed, and breathing. Something in his face shifted then. Realization. Like gears finally clicked into place. You did this, he whispered. You turned her against me. You ruined everything. I smiled. Calm. Detached. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped protecting you from the truth. I walked back inside and closed the door. Didn't slam it. Didn't lock it dramatically. Just closed it. It's been a couple of months now. No dramatic montage. No glowing transformation. Just silence. And honestly, that's all I wanted. I got a new place, tiny studio, nothing fancy, but every square inch of it is mine. No empty soda cans in the sink that aren't mine. No man sulking on the couch, draining my Wi-Fi and my soul. Just quiet mornings, coffee I don't have to share, and a deadbolt only I have the key to. I started therapy. My first session was mostly me staring at the floor, arms crossed, giving half-truths. But the second session, I started to talk. By the third, I said his name out loud without flinching. Work's been better, too. Turns out I was exhausted all the time because I was carrying the weight of 2 people. Without him dragging behind me like an anchor, I can actually breathe. I even got promoted last week. He'll never know that. And that makes it even better. Emily and I haven't spoken since the day I walked out of her apartment. We don't need to. We both got what we came for, clarity. I'm sure she's living her own version of the aftermath now. Maybe journaling. Maybe burning his hoodie. Doesn't matter. We both buried him in our own way. He tried messaging me twice since the front porch scene. Once an apology, and once something pathetic and flirty like we could just pick things up again. I didn't reply. Didn't even open them. My silence is the most generous thing I've ever given him. Do I think about what I did? Sure. I think about the slow, steady way I dismantled his life without raising my voice. About how every little piece of the revenge puzzle fit so perfectly, like it had always been meant for me to find. Was it petty? Maybe. But when someone kicks you, literally, physically kicks you, and thinks there won't be a price, that's not love. That's a challenge. I didn't scream. I didn't throw plates. I didn't beg him to explain. I let the receipts speak. I let the mistress burn the bridge. I let life do the kicking for me. I'm not proud of staying with him for as long as I did, but I'm proud of how I left. Quietly, completely, without giving him another second of warning. He kicked me once. Life kicked him back for me.